Nevertheless, Prabhupada wanted to go to Vrindavan. It was the best place to die or to recuperate. Besides, he had a plan for bringing his disciples to Vrindavan for training. He expressed this plan in a letter to Sumati Muraji, the owner of the Shinanda Steamship Company. Quote, I'm thinking of going back to India as soon as I get sufficient strength. I am now considerably old. I will be 72 next September. But the work which I have begun in the Western world is not yet finished. And I require to train some of the American boys to preach this cult all over the Western world. So if I return to India, I will have to take with me some of the boys for training. They are all nice boys to take up the training. So your cooperation in this connection is greatly needed. You have already allowed my men from India free passage. Similarly, if you allow free passage for some of my American disciples, they can come to India and take training from me at Vrindavan. The idea is that this old age, I do not know when death will overcome me, and I wish to die in the last days of my life at Vrindavan. End quote. Prabhupada told Kirtananda, Hayagriva, and others that he would take them with him and show them the sacred places of Krishna's pastimes. With the New York Temple Building Fund, he would start his American house in Vrindavan. Quote, I may come to Montreal, perform the opening ceremony of installation of Radha Krishna Vigraha. Then I may go back to India for 6 months, as there is a program for construction of an American house for training preachers at Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the only solitary transcendental abode within this universe where Krishna consciousness automatically reveals. Therefore, I have great hope to train some of my disciples for preaching work. Even in my absence, I am now old man and attacked with serious disease. I may be overcome by death at any moment. Therefore, I wish to leave some trained preachers so that they can do the work of Krishna consciousness in the Western world. This is my ambition. I hope you all pray to Krishna so that I may be able to execute my duty properly. End quote. When Govinda Dasi wrote Prabhupada that she was anxious to serve him again, as she had in New Jersey, he replied that he would be going to India to try to construct an American house, quote, where you will be invited to come and live for all the days, both your husband and yourself. You will find a very peaceful atmosphere in Vrindavan to worship Krishna, end quote. Waiting for sufficient strength to travel, Prabhupada continues his daily routine at Stinston Beach. 1 or 2 at a time, devotees would visit him from San Francisco. His morning walks on the beach, his sitting to take in the sunshine wherever it peeked through the clouds, and his evenings of kirtan or reading in the living room remained undisturbed and peaceful. Quote, Upendra. He would sit in his chair on the beach side of the house. He liked to see us go in the water and play. At first, I felt a bit strange going in the water and knowing Swamiji was watching me. But I went in and began washing my body. When I looked back at Swamiji, he was motioning from his chair, throwing his arms up like he was splashing in the water. He kept doing it until finally I understood that he wanted me to splash and play in the water. As I began to splash and jump around in the water, he nodded his head and smiled broadly. Mukunda, quote, I went on a walk on the beach with Swamiji, and when he sat down, I sat down opposite him. Then he asked me, what is your definition of Krishna? I said, Krishna is God. He is the supreme being. Our duty is to worship and serve him. End quote. Swamiji seemed fairly satisfied. And then he said, you must chant 64 rounds per day on your beads. I was shocked at this and could not answer. I did not know if there was any need to answer. I just kept looking at Swamiji, and he looked at me. After some time, he said, Or at least you can chant 32 rounds a day. Still silence. I considered it to be very difficult to chant even 16 rounds. I was wondering how I could possibly chant 32 rounds. After some time, Swamiji said, "At the very least, you must chant 16 rounds every day." I said, "Yes, Swamiji." I knew that I could at least try to handle that much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, Krishna. Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalava Girivaradari Gopi Janavalava Girivaradari Janavalava Yasora Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasana Yasora Nandana Braja Janaranjana Tira Vanachari Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Gopi Janavalava Girivaradari Gopi Janavalava Girivaradari Yasora Nandana Braja Naranjana Jana Braja Yasora Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yasora Nandana Tira Vanachari Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Ram, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Ram Hare Jaya Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari Shri Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Balaji, Jaya Subhadra, Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki, Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahamsa. All glories to Samudavadis, Hare Krishna, glories to Samudavadis. All glories to the Samudavadis, Hare Krishna, all glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ainam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat nasta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavate sevaya bhagavate uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naistaki. So we are continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Now we are on 5th canto, chapter 1, entitled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. Text number 2. Nanu mukta sangyanam, nananunam mukta sangyanam, vidashrinam dvidvasava. I was doing it twice. Yeah, it was very nice to hear you chant. Priyanish abhiveshoyam. Third line. Om sambhavitum ahati. Nanu mukta sangyanam. Tadrishanam dvisha. Sorry. Tadrisanam dvidvasabha. Grinvishvabi vineshoyam. Om sambhavitum ahati. Nanunam mukta sunganam. Tadrishanam dvisa sabha. Renvishwabi niveshoyam unsambhavi tumahati nanu muktana sangyanam adrishanam drisasava viveshoabi viveshoyam unsambhavi tumahati. Okay, now word for word. Na, not. Nunam, certainly. Mukta sanganam, one who is free from attachment. Adrisnam, such. Dvijas Rishabha, O great of the Brahmanas. Dreshu, to family life. Abhinivesha, excessive attachment. Ayam, this. Unsam, of persons. Bhavitum, to be. Ahati, is possible. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Devotees are certainly liberated persons. Therefore, O greatest of the Brahmanas, they cannot possibly be absorbed in family affairs. Purport. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that by executing devotional service to the Lord, one can understand the transcendental position of the living being and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be understood by any means except bhakti. The Lord confirms this in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-21. Bhaktyaham ikaya graya. Only by executing devotional service can one appreciate me. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Lord Krishna says, Bhaktyamam abhijananti. Simply by discharging devotional service, one can understand me. Thus, for a bhakta to become attached to family affairs is impossible, since a bhakta and his associates are liberated. Everyone is searching after ananda or bliss, but in the material world, there can never be any bliss. It is only possible in devotional service. Attachment for family affairs and devotional service are incompatible. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was somewhat surprised to hear that Maharaj Priyavrata was simultaneously attached to devotional service and to family life. Translation again. Devotees are certainly liberated persons. Therefore, O greatest of the Brahmanas, they cannot possibly be absorbed in family affairs. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshu Ummilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Excuse me for a second. I'm just putting my bag. Yes, please. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but by the mercy of my spiritual master, he is kindly forcing open my eyes with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Namo Om Vishnupada Krishna Prasna Bodhale Shrimati Tamal Krishna Goswami. Mute. Okay, so we are now hearing of the glories of Priyavrata. We have just previously heard of Paranjana, who was very attached, or who became overly attached, we could say, to form of a woman life, and how Paranjana was forced to take the birth of a woman. So this attachment is very powerful, and we understand. I was looking through the teachings of Lord Kapila, going back to the third canto. Lord Kapila Deva is speaking to Devahuti, and she is a Mataji, and she is saying how, but the Lord is instructing her very nicely there on the science of devotional service and breaking down the Sankhya philosophy. All the elements are there, and then the soul is there, Paramatma is there. So we have to have this preliminary understanding of who we are and who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then we have to be freed from this envious nature that this Krishna, why is he like that and I am like this? So we have to have a clear vision or understanding of who we are, what our position is in this material world, and who is this Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who is this Radharani, this land of Vrindavan we are hearing about. So Srila Prabhupada has given us everything and some more. And we are hearing in the Lilamrita of the wonderful land of Vrindavan, and how if one is to leave their body there, they are assured of going back to Krishna pastimes. So we are hearing here how Priyavata, as we go into this chapter, he is encouraged to perform his duties as a grihasta. So we also should be like this. We should understand what our duties are. But first, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the first instructions is approach a bona fide spiritual master, take initiation, follow his instructions, like that. There's the key instructions for the devotees to accept a bona fide spiritual master so that he can guide us through through our life on this path of bhakti. Because if we do it ourselves, we will be speculating and we may make the wrong decisions. You know, do I accept family life, or do I say in the brahmachari life? This is a big decision for the new bhaktas, or the new young devotees that are coming. Should I stay in saffron or should I accept white cloth? And so the grihasta is a more safer path, because we have these material bodies. We are undoubtedly attracted to the Madhajis. There is no question. We cannot deny that we are their form. Krishna is attracted to Radharani. The form of a woman is very, very like a magnet. Or we hear the fire and the butter. We are going to melt. We cannot deny this. So the safer path is the Grihasta ashram, performing it very nicely. And at the same time, performing devotional service, chanting our 16 rounds, attentively hearing and engaging in devotional service accordingly. Now, when we start this process of calling out the names of Krishna, we understand Krishna is in our heart. He is aware of our intentions and our desire. So if we have pure desire to please Krishna, he will reciprocate very nicely if we do our service nicely, and if we are also vachuvegam, controlling the tongue, belly, genitals, and if we are doing everything properly, like yoga, like the asana, the breathing, if we do it all very nicely and in a very humble state of mind, Krishna will be so happy. He can see you are not offending devotees, you are doing your service very diligently, you are trying to do everything properly. So then we get what is known like the reciprocation from Krishna. He starts arranging things. We understand that when we take to devotional service, it is like unplugging the fan of our karma. We are unplugging the fan, but the fan is still going. But Krishna is now entering into our lives more and more. The more we are sincere, the more we are chanting, the more service we are doing. He is very attracted. We understand that he is attracted to us more than we are to him. And we understand that as we progress and we hear that Krishna is controlled by the gopis. For their love, he is controlled by love. So we also have to try somehow or other to develop this love. But it is very easy when we apply ourselves to this process, because we can see it is revealed to us the glories of Krishna. Krishna reveals his glories to us, his strength, his opulences, that how he is present everywhere. He is present in every atom. He has created this material world. He has created this universe. And this universe is only one of many universes. So Krishna's opulences become revealed to us, and we become struck with awe that this is so amazing that this God has done all this. And when we understand it scientifically, it is not a sentimental understanding, it is gyan, and then we have the vigan. We get the realized knowledge, and then we become struck with wonder that this Lord who has created all of this is present within my heart as Paramatma, and he is guiding. All living entities are being guided by Krishna. All the ants are being told, where is the sugar? And all the ducks are understanding, where is this? And the pukekus are understanding, where is the bin out the back? I can go there and get food. So Krishna is guiding all of us. So he also guides us in devotional service. And if we are able to follow these instructions, this is our challenge, is to follow these instructions. Then we'll become very, very successful in this life. So much can be revealed in this life. We can become, Prabhupada is even stating, we can become fully Krishna conscious if we are in the right mood. And that mood is this humility, this das anudas mood. Then we can fully understand. So here, bhakti mama bijana, simply by discharging devotional service, everything is revealed. This is the whole science that we have. The problem is when we don't discharge devotional service properly, then so many problems can come. Everything can be ruined. It's like we understand what the worst offense is, Haridas. What is the worst offense we can perform? Sleeping in class. The worst, what is the worst thing we can do? What is the worst thing? What is our worst offense? Worst thing. Mad elephant. Yeah. Yes? Yeah, offending devotees. Yeah. The worst thing we can do is to criticize. This criticism is it is misuse of our tongue. Our tongue suddenly becomes very like our enemy, even, you could say. If we criticize devotees, we are seeing, and this comes about by not discharging our devotional service properly, not by not having this mood or embracing the mood of humility because of pride. Pride is a very toxic poison. Pride. We don't want this pride because it can ruin everything that we have. And we have to be very cautious of pride. Even I can be a devotee 30 years, and I can then be sitting here on the asana and wearing the nice garland, and everyone is listening to me. And then I can become very proud of this, thinking I am someone great. And then I can be looking down my nose, and then immediately we are in trouble. Everything can be taken away, we will be kicked, and we will be leaving. So we have to be very grateful for our position, and no pride, zero pride. And always remain in the mood of das anudas. If we are in that mood of being the servant and seeing ourselves as being very fallen, then it's a safe position to be in. It's not that we have to become recognized by everybody. That is not required. That is not a requirement of devotional service, to be recognized. There's nowhere in the scriptures that says that you have to be recognized as a devotee. You just have to serve as a devotee. Because Krishna is seeing everything within our heart. He's seeing what we are doing. So we don't need recognition. We don't need everyone to come up and say, oh, you are a wonderful devotee. We don't need that because we understand that Krishna is already seeing what I am doing. At every moment he is seeing what I'm doing. And we can feel his reciprocation. And the best thing that we can feel is remembrance of his pastimes. If we can remember Krishna's pastimes during the day, whatever those pastimes might be, then we are the most fortunate. Because later on in this chapter, Narada Muni is instructing Priyavrata, the Grihastha thing is there, perform your duty, but he's saying, remember the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And by remembering the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, then everything will be very easy for us. So that is also our situation. Although we are taken very low birth, it is also mentioning here that even the lowest people can engage in devotional service. And if they engage in the devotional service and they take a bona fide spiritual master and they follow his instructions and they remain humble, then they also can remember the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is perfection of life. Manmana bhava madbhakto. By remembering the Lord, everything is achieved. Because by doing that, then we can enter into those pastimes, even within this body, like samadhi or trance, we can enter into if we are in the right mood. And that mood we understand is trinadati. So we can be very humble. It's not that we are looking for a big audience and recognition and garlands and swaha. We're not even wanting to become guru. That is not our goal. Our goal is manmana. So Manmana and Vrindavan and Yamuna and Gopis, because we're in the line of Sri Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari, he has given us inconceivable revelation of the sweetness of the land of Vrindavan. It is incomparable. You know, Indra's planet is nothing. You know, we understand Indra as being heaven. But the problem about heaven and Indra's department is that they are all glorifying him. He is getting all the recognition, you know, and he is getting all the beauty and the opulence and the gold. And he is, you know, and then you can become forgetful of Krishna. So that if he is in that position, you know, then ahankara, the false ego is just, so it's a very dangerous situation, this opulence, recognition. So even Indra's planet, we are not interested in any of this. We are just interested in the dust on the bank of the Yamuna. So what we do when we go there, we get our little jar and we take the dust of Vrindavan and then we bring it back here to New Zealand and then we open that jar and we are putting our finger in and we are taking. And in this way, we are so fortunate that we have reached perfection. The dust of the land of Vrindavan, the Yamuna. I have the dust from Raval, the birthplace of Radharani. So I have that. And it is explained that dust is like greater than all the wealth in the world. Just even one speck of that dust is so potent and opulent. So if we accept all these things with faith and we don't have any material desires, because the desires are what the problem is, but the devotional service cleanses us of those desires. Circumambulating Tulsi, warding Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, praying to Vrinda Devi. And in this way, we can reach perfection very easily. It's very simple for the simple, but very difficult for the crooked. If someone is coming to devotional service and wanting fame and recognition, you may get that fame and recognition, but you won't get devotion, you won't get bhakti, you won't get Krishna. You'll get all these other things. So we have to understand that the goal is seva and be satisfied with our seva, and then we will achieve the goal. It's very, you know, it's not that we have to, like I say, we don't have to become famous or any of these things. All we want is service, because through that service, we get Krishna's attention. Krishna becomes pleased, then he will take us, he will help us at the time of death. Everything will be taken care of very nicely. And even our family members, like I think last time I spoke, I was mentioning how my father was even blessed at the time of death. His nurse, her name was Lalita. Lalita was my father's nurse. So this is inconceivable. How do you arrange these things? We cannot arrange these things materially, but Krishna can arrange these things. Okay, you are a devotee, your father is going to leave. I will send Lalita Dasi, and she can help deliver your father. So my father's calling out to Lalita at the time of death. This is Krishna's intervention. Do not worry, Madhu. I will take care of everything. So Krishna is taking care. So I can see Krishna is taking care of all these things. So I don't need to be anxious about other family members. But we also, I guess the point I should make here is we should do our service properly and not be falsely detached. We have to treat our family members with great respect. The wife, the children, we should not neglect, because they are also devotees and they've been sent to us. So our duty is to do that duty properly and not run away from your Grihasta ashram. You have to do your Grihasta properly. And then again, Krishna will reciprocate with that. If you neglect your duty as a Grihasta and think that you can jump ahead, that is a big mistake. We have to do that duty properly and even stay as a Grihasta our entire life and serve and provide. Only if Krishna makes arrangements that you have a very nice son-in-law who has married your wife or your daughter, and then that son-in-law is able to maintain that whole situation, as we see in the Bhagavatam, through all these narrations of the kings. Their sons and daughters are being looked after, everything is nice and in place, then I can leave and go carry on, if we are feeling strong enough like that. So don't think that the goal is vanapras sannyas. The goal is service to the devotees and service to your family. This is priority. We cannot neglect and do bad things to our families and neglect them and think that we are a great devotee. It's a big illusion. We have to make sure our family members are nicely taken care of. Such an important, this is our first service even, is to make sure family members are taken care of. And then when all that is done, then we can go deeper in our bhakti. We'll go to Vrindavan or whatever. But first, this whole science is service to the family, as we can see here. And we should not neglect and think. I thought that important we make that point. Because even if our family is nice, we can stay there. But if our family is a little bit disturbed and not so devotional, then we need to make arrangements accordingly. So, but we should stay, especially as men. Men, we have to perform our duties properly. And then when that is done, then we can progress on. But like I say, even staying in the Grihasta ashram is not a bad thing if the wife is a devotee, children are devotees. That is Vrindavan also. Wherever we can sit and chant peacefully is ultimately where we need to be. So it is not this process of bhakti is so powerful that it will help relieve us from attachment. We will become naturally detached through the process of bhakti, because through the process of bhakti we become more aware of Krishna's opulences and his beauty, and so that we cannot become attached to something less. When you have something high, how can you become attached to something less? So we are able to give up these things in a very natural way due to our Vigan. We have the knowledge and then we have the realized knowledge, and so then it becomes very easily, and we don't need to pretend we are already detached, because we are attached to the Supreme. No, it's very, very easy, but we should not imitate or pretend. These things are not going to do us any good service. We just have to be very honesty, sincere, and pure, and then everything is just very wonderful. Because Krishna is very pleased, we can do our service nicely, and while we're doing our service, we can remember his lotus feet. Okay, I think I'll leave it there. Has anyone got any questions, comments? Let's read the verse again. Devotees are certainly liberated persons. Therefore, O greatest of the Brahmanas, they cannot possibly be absorbed in family affairs. Or I guess you could say accumulating too much. We don't want to accumulate, just what we need. Less is best. Okay. Everyone happy? Everyone smiling? Okay. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.